Welcome to another tutorial with Creative Arena. Today we're going to take our shell, we're going to do an extension, and I'm going to call this one the Bulldozer because essentially what I want to do is make an extended slope, but I want it to be nice and wide, and then I'm going to put teeth at the end so that way when my opponents come at me, they get up on the ramp and then stuck because of the foam shapes. And then I can add some other accessories to hopefully then help me pop their balloons. So with my plan here, I'm going to need a lot of cardboard. I've got preferably 2 pieces that I think I can get cut to where I need it to be. And then I'm going to do some foam shapes on both sides. I'm going to do smaller ones in the front so that the opponent can get over it. And I'm going to do a bigger one a little bit above it where the wheels will hopefully get stuck. And then I will be in more control when they get caught there. So let's get started. All right, I'm going to first start with cutting my cardboard. Now, I already did my measurements. I took my shell and I laid it out sideways so that I could figure out the width of the wall. I made my measurements so that I have 2 columns. This way I can get all 4 sides. And then I measured out the middle. I had to do 5.5 inches on each side because it's an 11-inch piece. And then I came into the center and I measured an inch on each side. So that way I have a part that I can glue on. And then I did my curve from that inch down. I left a little space at the end so that it's not a complete point and still easy to glue. So I'm going to make my cuts now. At Creative Arena, we have scissors, and then I also have the box cutter. That does help make it a little bit easier, especially when you're trying to get that straight edge. So I'm going to cut these. Let's cut this side first. Cut my other 4 sides, and then we'll cut right down the middle. So at each event, you'll have scissors, and then you'll have myself or one of the other employees that are happy to help cut, because sometimes cardboard can be tricky, especially with the scissors and depending on how big of a cut you're trying to make. Then I'll cut down the center. That was that 5.5 inch, so that I have 1 for each side. Now, part of my measurements also have to keep in mind the walls and the wheels, because I don't want it to interact with the wheels of my RC car. So that's why we don't want to go below the box, because if we do that, then we could have a bigger problem, because then the car won't be able to go in and out of its 2 different modes. All right, so now I'll get everything lined up. Got those ready to go. So I'm going to do that first square. I'm going to get everything glued. I like to do dots for my gluing. Definitely holds better. Alright, line that up. So I got that 1 inch. My squares on the grids of my car are also 1 inch, so that works out very nicely for my measurements. Okay, then I'll do the other side. I want to make sure that I get that edge fairly lined up. So that way when I put the extension on, it'll make it a lot easier than trying to fight with the edge. All right, so now we've got our 4 sides on. Now, I was lucky enough that from one of my previous projects, I had some leftover cardboard, and at Creative Arena, we definitely take advantage of that. Any extra materials or available materials you are able to grab and add to your CreativeBot as you see it would help, or if you have a project that requires more of the materials that you might not have in your kit. So we always encourage reuse. Lots of recycling happens when we're building. So as you can see, these fit perfectly across. So I'm going to make sure they're fairly well lined up, and I like it. So I'm going to add glue to my edges and then attach. Now you can do dots, but I do feel when adding a piece like this, it is better to just put a solid line. All right, I want that as centered as possible. Now, if you're wanting to be exact, you could measure. I like to eye it. Okay, gonna go to this side. Alright. Again, I like to eye it. Once it's on, I'll do some reinforcing. And I'm also going to reinforce with some foam shapes here, just because I think that will help with the overall endurance of this CreativeBot. So getting that down, it's holding fairly well. Do the other side. And one more over here. So as you can see, it's got a good press. It's going to hold a lot better. And if it doesn't, we just re-glue. And sometimes as we're building and I come around and I do the gluing, I will say, hey, just hold this for a couple seconds, let it set. But like I said, I'm also going to reinforce down here. I got 2 longer triangles that will fit perfectly right in there, because if I'm expecting my opponent's RC or CreativeBot to come up on that ramp, I got to make sure it's sturdy enough and will hold on to it. So it's going to go this way. So I'm going to glue my dots. And I'll do the same over here. And the nice thing with the foam shapes is I can now also put skewers or toothpicks onto the cardboard if I wanted to, because they will be now reinforced by that alone. All right, I'm going to reinforce up here. Fill in those seams to hopefully improve endurance. All right, and now to add the teeth. Alright, so my teeth are going to go at the bottom, and I'm just going to do 3 on each side, because that way the other car could drive up, and then I'll do this up here, and hopefully it will trap the car, giving me control. I can put toothpicks on this as well. Kind of the fun part about toothpicks, you can put them everywhere. Each kit comes with 100 of them, so you have plenty. Plus, like I said, you can always get more from the toolbox. We've had some pretty incredible death traps made with toothpicks in our arena. So you're only limited by your imagination. Alright. Again, if you want to be exact, you can measure. I'm just kind of going with the flow. Alright, do the other side. Now, you don't have to do it on both sides. You could always do something different on the other side, because you might not want to have the ramp for both sides to be able to catch everything. But this is just one setup. And of course, improvements and modifications can be made. You can try it out in the arena. If it doesn't work, go back to your station and try again. Alright, and we call that the Bulldozer. You can ram the other Cradobots, get their wheels stuck here, and then you'll have more control on where you're going to go. You also have the option, because of the setup, to station your clips here, which would hold your balloons. So I can set that up as well. Now, that might put it too close, maybe, to your opponent being able to get them. So, again, that's something that you can improve the design upon. But the nice part with this setup is you still have a flat surface, so you can build up and you can do a whole lot of things. Just make sure that you have your plastic ball somewhere, because you have to have 3 bouncy balls that count for points as well. So, hope this helps with the Bulldozer design.